This meeting is called to order. This is a meeting of the Lincoln Heights Neighborhood Council, Los Angeles, California. 6:07 p.m. Thursday, September 1st. Secretary Sanchez, roll call.
Right. Sarah Clendenny,
Present.
Ben Wadsworth,
Present.
Vincent Chente Montalvo, Vincent,
Oh, present. Sorry about that.
that's all right. Fernanda Sanchez here. Nancy Soto,
Present.
Benny Madera,
Present.
Annalie Har,
Present.
Melanie Bolomo Shiflet,
Here.
Didia Delizer,
Present.
Jared Gunsberg,
Present.
Diego Zapata, excused absence, Gil Arevalo, Richard Ortiz,
Present.
Steve Lucero,
Present.
Selena Ortega,
Present.
and Esmeralda Landeros.
Present.
That's 14. We have quorum.
All right, 14, quorum, excellent. So this meeting, or we have to kind of finish by 8 because of the board members, finish by 8. So that's 2 hours. So we're gonna do it in a timely manner. We're gonna proceed, timely manner. We're gonna proceed in a timely manner. So, so we have public comment, general public comment on non-agenda items, 2 minutes per person. So this is a chance for the public to speak about anything that's not on the agenda. You have 2 minutes to speak. Please raise your hand or press *9 and you will be selected to speak.
We have Michael Henry Hayden. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, I have an update from West Avenue 34. Some good news and some bad news. The developers of the project began the cleanup several weeks ago. DTSC approved a soil management plan that lays out all their required dust mitigation efforts, but the developers aren't obeying the requirements, which is making for dangerous conditions in the neighborhood. DTSC has been made aware of all these violations, but is apparently not doing anything to enforce it. So their plan prohibits soil piles higher than 8 feet. It requires covering soil piles with plastic at the end of each workday. No piles are to be made near the fence bordering homes or the school. Trucks are to be loaded in dust containment areas. The streets are to be swept with a wet vacuum cleaner. None of this is being followed by the contractors. DTSC is not doing anything to enforce that. We've seen significant track out from the cleanup site for several blocks down Pasadena Avenue, dust visibly blowing from the work site and accumulating in people's driveways. Most of this is concentrated in front of Hillside. They routinely pile soil twice as high as they should. They never cover it at nights or weekends. They're using street sweepers that just kick the soil up in the air. They don't have adequate fencing around the entire site, so just as dust is spilling into the street on West Avenue 34 and on Artesian. This just reaffirms our distrust that DTSC can properly oversee this cleanup. And we're still disturbed that DTSC approved a cleanup standard 30 times less protective than federal residential standards. The good news is that our US Congressman Jimmy Gomez wrote a letter of concern this week asking the US EPA to look into the Avenue 34 site and make sure this project is up to their standards. We also just learned today that County Supervisor Hilda Solis released a similar letter to the US EPA just today. That's really promising because the EPA has already commented in emails to both of those offices that they consider the cleanup for this project inappropriate for a residential project, and that's a quote. Also, even though she's not in office yet, our future council member, Eunices Hernandez, has come down and seen the site for herself and talked to neighbors. We're all hopeful that there's still an opportunity to move this in the right direction. In the meantime, if you see dangerous conditions or soil in the street, please tag us or send us a message on Instagram, Save Avenue 34, or contact the community group by email, saveavenue34@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Michael. We have Colin user _2. You are unmuted. Please press *6 to unmute yourself, I believe.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Well, out of all the neighborhood councils I go to, you're actually on the top 10 list. Well, let me tell you about Dunn, that dumb bureaucratic system, with a bunch of parasites. I pulled all NPRs for the last 4 years for all neighborhood councils. And one thing I found were some interesting things that Dunn has gone out of their way to screw everybody on the CISs too. Dunn does not care if the nonprofit corporation is a forfeited corporation. And even with notice, their position is, the board said so. That's what your advocates do. Second of all, I've pulled so many IRS revocation of their 501c3 and presented it to them, and the parasites from Dunn say, well, the board said so, it's racism. So I want to know, when's the last time did a Dunn representative ever say to this particular board, you guys are doing a great job, thank you. They don't do that. They like to fuck everybody. They're a bunch of rude, less than used car salesmen. They don't hire the best. They only hire the people that are problem employees, and they just hide them in there, and then they shove them off to HR. They do nothing. I've given them all the data, and their attitude is, oh, that's nice, talk to the city attorney. And I ask, who at the city attorney's office do I talk to? Click. But you know what's kind of funny? They've been getting calls from the district attorney's integrity department, and for some reason, everybody's starting to lawyer up. It's very interesting, because one of your parasites that doesn't work there at Dunn anymore, some of the nonprofits they had direct interest in, and their attitude is, but the board said so. So anytime Dunn says something to you, make sure it's in writing and don't trust them. They're not very good people. They're actually very terrible people. And if they happen to trip on a sidewalk, I would probably, or even put it this way, if any of these parasites had mothers, I'd probably sue them on why they weren't aborted. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. So yeah, this is general public comment of non-agenda items. If anybody from the public has something to say about something that's not on the agenda, please raise your hand or press *9, and you have 2 minutes to speak. Thank you.
I see no more hands raised.
All right. So we're going to move on to community and board announcements, 2 minutes per person. So if anybody from the board has an announcement, yeah, we'll do board announcements and then community. So any announcements? Vince, maybe take that timer off the screen just because I have this timer here. I have an announcement. I want to announce for the executive, well, I want to announce that we have a new member of our board, Jared Gunsberg. He was elected last week, Area 3 at-large representative. And so welcome, Jared. Thank you. If you just want to introduce yourself to the community real quick, just like say hi.
I'll be quick. Hello, my name is Jared Gunsberg. I am the Area 3 at-large rep. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm relatively new to Lincoln Heights, but thrilled to keep learning more about the community and contribute and help out in any way that I can.
Thank you, Jared. And Jared, what is your email?
My email, hold on, it's my new Lincoln Heights Council email. Bear with me here. My email, should anybody have any questions or want to get in touch with me or any issues that need to be raised, it's Jared, JEROD .LHNC@gmail.com.
Thank you.
JEROD.LHNC.
Excellent, thank you. All right, and we still have vacancies, so we'll announce them later. Any other announcements? I have another announcement. West Nile virus has been discovered in Lincoln Heights. So we received an email from the county. They trapped one mosquito that tested positive. So you can see it in the supporting documents. We have a list of different neighborhoods in the county where with recent occurrences. And yeah, so please see our supporting documents. Just, we have a lot of different stuff in there. Any other announcements from the board? All right, so we're going to go to community announcements. If there's any member from the community who has an announcement for the community and for the board, you have 2 minutes to speak. Please raise your hand or press *9.
We have call and user _2. You have 2 minutes to speak. Please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I'm just going to take a minute. On August 2nd, I went into Superior Court down on Hill Street to have a neighborhood council member, not in this neighborhood council, but another one, that was a convicted registered sex offender. Dunn's position was all people need to be on the board, and that would be considered racist and discrimination. They were smart enough not to have the city attorney's office join into my motion to have this neighborhood council member removed under the government code, and the judge ordered this individual to go bye-bye, so they were enjoined from being on the neighborhood council anymore. Dunn is not very nice, so their position is convicted sex offenders are allowed to be neighborhood council members, but I went into the person's criminal case as a intervener and had the person removed. The DA did not oppose. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any more hands raised.
We're going to move on to government reports. Sorry, everybody. So if there are any elected public officials on the line or city employees or anybody who wants to address the board in the neighborhood, you have 2 minutes to speak. Please raise your hand or press *9.
Cynthia Cruz, you have 2 minutes to speak.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Hi. So yeah, I'll be quick. Just a couple of announcements that I wanted to mention is, as you guys may have already seen, this weekend, we're expecting a heat wave. So the cooling centers, well, in the area, libraries serve as a cooling center during the regular hours. So until they're closed, folks can come into the libraries. For Lincoln Heights, that's a Lincoln Heights branch library. And then the second closest would probably be the Arroyo Seco branch library in Highland Park. And then the Lincoln Park Rec Center is also a cooling center, and that'll be open daily all the way through Monday, September 5th from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. So that's a cooling center also. And also wanted to share that we're having a movie night this Friday, so tomorrow, another great way to stay cool, at the Lincoln Park pool, starting at 6 p.m. and we'll be there till about 10 p.m. We're going to be showing the Disney movie Disney movie Luca. Last weekend we showed Encanto at El Sereno Park, but this Friday we're going to be showing Luca at the Lincoln Park pool. So I'll send over the flyer and hopefully you guys can join us or just spread the word. Good way to stay cool also tomorrow. We'll be providing refreshments, popcorn, all of that stuff. Also wanted to share that last week, August 25th, we had a pretty successful Homeless Connect Day at the Lincoln Park. We had 25 folks come by to get showers. We had about 70 meals passed out, folks that were coming by and they received a hot meal. So we distributed a lot of meals, which was good. And they also connected with a lot of great resources. We had a ticket clinic for folks. So a lot of the folks in RVs are living out of their cars were able to get their tickets cleared, talk to LASA and get some referrals in to get placed into interim housing sites. So it was a pretty good Homeless Connect Day, pretty successful, hoping to have more of those so we can connect people to resources. Also, since this weekend's going to be pretty hot, I recommend you guys freeze some water bottles. And if you guys have any unhoused neighbors that you frequent or you see often around Lincoln Heights, pass out some cool or frozen water bottles. They're really going to be needed this weekend. We're going to be freezing some water bottles and going out tomorrow to distribute to some of our unhoused neighbors. Also, really quickly, wanted to mention that we have a new email set up for renter support. Any tenants that might need assistance with anything related to its renter protections, or if they're getting illegally evicted, anything that it when it comes to as it pertains to renters, we have a new email set up and they can email us and we can connect with them and guide them or navigate the whole process with them. We have a tenant advocate deputy, so his sole purpose is kind of tackling a lot of these cases. So the email for that is cd14 renterhelp@lacity.org, and that's cd14 renterhelp@lacity.org. So if you guys want to spread the word, if there's anyone that's having some issues, share that email and we can help them out. We also did like an e-blast last week, I believe, where we shared some pretty good, useful information about renters protections and their rights. So if you guys aren't subscribed to our newsletter, follow us, go to our Instagram page where you can get the link to our link tree and you can subscribe to our newsletter that way, or just go to our website and subscribe to our newsletter so you guys can get that information also. We have an upcoming food giveaway. I'll share the flyer when we have it. So you guys can help us spread the word on that. And then of course, LACC, any areas in Lincoln Heights that you guys want addressed, give us a holler, call our number or email me and we can send them out. But that's all I have. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Cynthia. Next, we have Jose Galdamez.
Hi, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jose Galdamez with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Just have a brief update. So the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment in the mayor's office, in partnership with Cal State LA Pat Brown Institute for Public Affairs, invites each neighborhood councils to appoint board members to attend the Civic U. Due to Brown Act limitations, appointment must be less than the majority of official action number. Civic U is a 3-session commitment and operates on the premise when it comes to local government, a well-informed community will be more active and engaged, provide neighborhood council board members with the tools they need to better understand local government and become effective advocates for their communities. So the sessions will be taking place in October 6th, October 13th, and October 27th. They all start at 6:30. I sent out the email to the board again, and also some suggested language for the agenda for the board to consider at a future meeting in order to appoint the board members to attend those sessions. And also as a reminder, this NC Congress is taking place on September 24th. Feel free to visit neighborhoodcongress.la. If you're interested in registering, it's going to be a virtual event, and there's going to be several workshops and plenty of chance to network with other city departments, other board members as well. And any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Jose. And last, we have Jessica Swan. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you so much. My name is Jessica Swan. I am a public participation specialist with the Department of Toxic Substances Control, assigned to Avenue 34 and other projects that are in the area and along that Los Angeles River. So I wanted to make a couple of announcements about the Avenue 34 project. So we are transitioning to the project to my colleague Elsa Lopez. She is on the call with us this evening. So the starting of the excavation of the large area that it has VOC contaminants, volatile organic compound contamination, is starting. I believe it started today. Additionally, the installation of the SVE system is going to be beginning today or this week. So that being said, the excavation areas for metals contaminants that I brought to your guys' attention, I believe a couple of weeks ago, was completed. Those contaminated sites were direct loaded onto the soil from those contaminated excavations were direct loaded onto trucks. So there was no stockpiling of those soils. The soil stockpiles that were on site were clean fill, so backfill that goes into excavated areas. And they were actually on top of a foundation slab. And so that is why they were at the fence line. So they were still under the 8 feet markers. So Elsa Lopez is my colleague who will be taking over the project going forward. And I've appreciated being able to connect with all of you guys over the last year or so.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica. If there's anybody from the public, oh wait, actually no. Government officials, if there are any government officials, please raise your hand if I start. You have 2 minutes to speak.
I don't see any other hands.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to committee reports. So we have a bunch of committees. If there are any committee chairs or co-chairs or members who want to give an update on their committee, real quick about what's going on in any future meetings.
I'll make one for outreach. We're going to be starting meeting this month in September. So if anybody's a board member, make sure to reach out to me so we can start getting agenda items posted and get our first agenda out. And if there's anybody in the public that wishes to be part of the outreach, we can have stakeholders on our committees. And so you can reach me at Vincent Montalvo, Lincoln Heights, no, excuse me, vincent.m.lhnc@gmail.com. And we hope to see you at our next outreach committee.
Great, thank you, Vince. I have an update from the Planning and Land Use Committee. My name is Sarah, I'm the chair. So we had our meeting yesterday. It went really well. We approved the items that you see on the agenda today. We recommended them to the council. So I want to mention a couple things. So there is a new DTSC notice about the 3505 Pasadena Avenue site, otherwise known as the Welch's dry cleaning facility. That is next to the Avenue 34 site. They're doing soil borings. I believe they completed the work yesterday, but that property is currently for sale and people are trying to develop it. Secondly, a new permit was filed a couple months ago for another demolition permit for 2659 Pasadena Avenue, which is the house built in 1890 next to Boys and Girls Club that has gone up on fire like about 5 times. So if you want to get involved in the Planning and Land Use Committee, email me, sara.lhnc@protonmail, protonmail.com. Sarah, oh yeah, my name is Sarah. Thanks. And our next meeting is going to be on the 21st of September. Selena?
Hi, everyone. So the elections committee meeting for last Saturday was canceled. And then the one before that was also canceled. But we'll be scheduling something not for this weekend, but the following, so the 10th. Sorry about the cancellations. It was very last minute.
Thank you, Selena. And that's for the upcoming 2023 elections, right?
Yeah, for both the municipal elections, the state elections, and also the Lincoln Heights, the upcoming year's Lincoln Heights neighborhood council elections.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Selena. Any other committee reports? All right.
I just got one more, Sarah.
Yeah.
I just want to invite everyone to the Alliance of River Communities. The Alliance of River Communities are 17 neighborhood councils that are along the Los Angeles River, and we take on issues that are region-wide. I'm on the steering committee and also an appointed member from Lincoln Heights, and I believe we currently might have an extra seat to be appointed to as a representative. I'll verify that and give it to the president so we can put it on the agenda if anybody's interested. I'm becoming an appointed person to serve on the Alliance of River Communities. Our meeting is on September the 6th. Everyone's invited. And if you happen to see more members, they mentioned this about having quorum at our ARC meetings, then you're restricted to just participate and not talk in it. But keep an eye out on the attendees just to make sure we don't have a majority of our quorum present. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Vince. Seeing no more announcements, we're going to move. Well, I'm going to change the order of the agenda a little bit. We're going to switch it up and move the election, the item 7F up to the top here. Does anybody have any objections? This will be the election, the announcements of vacancies and then filling those seats. No objections? All right. I'm going to proceed. So announcements of 9 Lincoln Heights Neighborhood Council vacancies. Youth representative. It ends in 2020. Well, it's 2023. Are there any high school students that want to be the youth representative? Yeah, so business representative ends 2025. We need another business rep, ends in 2023. A community-based org rep, organization rep, 2025. Community-based org rep, ending in 2023. Area 1 rep at large, 2023. Area 3 rep at large, 2023. Area 4 rep resident, 2023. Area 6 rep resident, 2023. See LHNC bylaws for the criteria, or go to our supporting documents and we have a whole little packet with the application and everything, with the maps. So these area reps correspond with districts within Lincoln Heights. So we're going to move on to filling the vacancies. Okay, so Secretary Sanchez, have we received any applications for vacancies?
Yes, so the last meeting we tabled the area 1 rep applications, and I see that they're both here. Last time we received a presentation from Marla Pogue, and today I believe we will be receiving the one for the other application, which was Sylvia. So I am going to promote both of you to panelists.
So both applicants are given 2 minutes to speak and present themselves to the community, maybe read their statement. And then we're going to do a brief sort of Q&A, and then from the board and from the public, and then we're going to vote on filling those seats.
All right, so let's start with Marla. You have 2 minutes to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about why you want to be on the board, what motivated you to apply, and if you could have your screen on for this, that would be great.
You can't see me?
Yeah.
What?
No, we can.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is Marla Polk, and I've been living in Lincoln Heights for the last 3 years. And I have a lot of concerns about, the future of the neighborhood and the world. And I made the Planning and Use Committee meeting last night, which I found very interesting. And it's a dilemma, of what we want versus what we're going to get, and what the rest of the community and Los Angeles County needs, right? And so it's just want to learn about a little bit more about the process and how where it goes from here and how to make changes and get more of what we want. I have concerns about what's the term I want to say, like getting the resources to the people. We were talking about cooling centers,
And, today I heard, three, very upset on how is people screaming. And I'm like, well, I'm probably, and everybody's scared and stuff. And, he's screaming, what is he going to do? Or what is she going to do? And they're probably have heat stroke, and who are the people that are, telling them, I mean, can they use them? Can they go to the library? I don't know. And I asked to volunteer at a place that provided showers like once a week for the homeless over by USC, that park there with the water, and wasn't unable to do that. And I don't know if they're doing that anymore. And even if they do, I haven't seen anybody in my few block area to that doesn't seem to know about it. But anyway, I only have 2 minutes. So those are some of my concerns. And then the resources out there aren't getting to my friends and my neighbors that could really use them.
Thank you, Marla. Okay, and then this is area 1. So this is behind the KFC, and it goes all the way over to the river, up to sanitation. So yeah, we have a map on our supporting documents are on our bylaws and on our website.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
The last meeting, somebody had asked if I would be willing to do a different position, and so I was looking at the community based committee, right? And so to join one of the committees and be a representative in that way. And so, that's why I went to the land and use meeting yesterday, which I think was valuable. And I don't know if you need somebody on this board to be on that committee, but I'm willing to do that if my opponent, anyway, I'm up for that too.
Just real quick, Vince, so yes, for CBO, for community-based org rep, you need to be an employee of the nonprofit or church or school, right? Correct? Vince? And then just have a letter that you send, or like appointed by the community-based org to represent them?
I don't think you need to be an employee. You can also just be a member.
Right, a member? Oh, okay. But I think
Yeah.
permission from them. Okay, so yeah, if
You
you
just need a letter.
Marla, if you have a community-based org that you're affiliated with that would sign a letter that they would permit you to represent, well, you're not
Yeah.
representing them on the board, you're just, because that would be a conflict of interest, but whatever. Yeah, so that would be another option. Yeah, so we have the 2 of those vacant.
Yeah, I was looking at the committees, and like I said, the land and use was planning and use was an interest of me, but I don't know if you need more people there. Otherwise I can, pick another one, but I haven't joined any yet. So
yeah,
in the committees.
there are positions, and then each board member is kind of required to be on a committee. So we have positions, board positions, and then we have committees. So they're separate things. But yeah, so so you qualify for this, the area 1 rep because you live.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to clarify, so everybody knows. All right, thank you, Marla.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Amanda, do you want to take back the reins?
Yeah, and then right now is just an opportunity for Q&A for Marla. And I just wanted to clarify, I think what you meant, Marla, is either way you would want to join the PLUC committee, whether as a board member or as a community member, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. The open positions. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I
yeah.
meant. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No worries. And then just one really quick question. We asked you a lot of questions last time. And I just had one more question, which is, do you have the time, like availability to be on the general board meetings every other Thursday, which run 2, sometimes 3 hours long? And also the commitment of having to join a committee, which requires a lot of groundwork and organizing.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. We have Melanie.
Hi, Marla. Thanks for coming back this week. And I'm sorry we had to push this, but I'm glad both candidates are here. I did want to clarify, maybe we've already clarified this, but I do remember the last meeting. I think it was Richard who asked Marla if she would be willing to come on as, like, I think what you said, Sarah, CBO or a business rep. And it was those other seats that are open that Marla was like, yes, any open seat that she would qualify for, she was cool with. And then of course, yeah, I think we got a little confused with the committees, but anyways, I know we probably already clarified that. I just wanted to double clarify. I do remember you being open to any seat on the council that's open that you would qualify for, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe I'm confused, but is the CBO, is it committee based?
No.
No.
No, so that's actually one of our seats on the board. So we have three CBOs and three business reps, and then we have area reps, and then the executive committee. So you would be sort of the liaison between the community orgs and the board. And
right, yeah,
so, yeah. So not allegiant to one community org, but just
right.
Yeah, you walk around and talk to people. So yeah. All right. So we're pressed for time here at 6:43. Thank you, Marla. And board members, Vince, since Marla was already on the meeting last week, could we just open it up to community questions for Marla?
Yes. And while we're going through, this is all for seating, council seat 1, right?
Yes.
So we should let both of them speak and then open it up to the board to talk, and then
okay,
the public, and then we vote, and then the majority of the vote, whoever gets it will take the office.
Okay, so we're gonna have Sylvia. Sylvia's the other applicant, correct? So Sylvia's gonna speak, and then we'll open up to questions, and then we'll vote.
Hi, my name is Sylvia Lara. I lived in Lincoln Heights back in 2010 to 2012, and I was back as of 2020 for the last few years. I was interested in being the representative for my area when I saw the position open. I'm a part of the Lincoln Heights Tenants Union as well, and I serve as a translator for the public for Spanish to English, English to Spanish, etc. So I'm interested in being more involved in my community. A follow-up to the email that I had between Fernanda and I when we were setting this up. I'm actually also open. I'm not sure what the requirements are as far as there only must be one representative, but I'm also open to helping out Marla in her position as well, or in another position. So I'm flexible as well. And yeah, basically the reason why I was prompted to sign up for this time around is I can commit to these meetings that are happening every other week. And I'd like to represent a lot of the people that I hear in the Lincoln Heights Tenants Union meetings and the issues that I see coming from the public. I'm under 2 minutes, that's all I got.
Thank you, Sylvia.
So do any board members have any questions for Sylvia?
I'll ask this. Sylvia, what do you think are the 3 top most important things that our community members need in the housing, specifically since you're in the LA Tenants Union? What are the 3 top things that you think our community needs?
Knowledge to begin with, which I believe the Lincoln Heights Tenants Union is really helpful for that, but also the awareness of the Lincoln Heights Tenants Union, so they're able to understand that we're a tool there to be used for them to be more informed on their rights. So that's one, just more awareness of that. Number 2, I think, is a legal representation. There's a lot of issues that are a little bit outside of the Lincoln Heights Tenants Union's capacity, and that we need more volunteers or just more people who are in the legal field to be able to help. I think those 2 are the main ones. And the last one would be if there was more immediate funding for people who are in emergency situations. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. If it's a heavy hitter, it's money at the end of the day. people who are being displaced either by their landlords and gentrification in the area, or because, for example, the family that was recently recently displaced due to a fire that their landlord won't respond to.
Thank you.
I have a question. Since you are involved with the tenants union, if the area one representative seat didn't work out, would you be open to the community-based organization seat?
Yeah, I'm open to sharing this seat or to helping out in another way. I'm flexible.
Well, I don't think we can share seats, but it's good to hear that you would be open to CBO. And then just another quick question. Where did you live prior to Lincoln Heights? Was it still in the LA area?
I was raised in Whittier. So just depending on where I was in school or working. So it's been like Whittier, Southgate, and then Westwood for college. So kind of everywhere in LA.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions for Sylvia? I don't see any hands up. So now we'll move it to the public. If anyone from the public has questions for both candidates, Marla or Sylvia, please raise your hand or press *9. There are no hands raised.
So now, since we've taken comments from the questions from the public and from the board, we're going to move it to a roll call vote. Do we have to
present a motion?
A motion now? Are we just going to? We'll do each one separately, correct?
No, they both get done at once because it's one seat. So the vote's going to be either for Marla or I forgot the other person's name, Sylvia. Okay.
I have a question. Is the CBO board, hypothetically, if Sylvia chooses to run for that seat, is that going to be handled tonight as well?
No, because she would have to get a letter, basically the criteria.
Understood.
Right, from the things that giving her permission. Yeah, so so that would be the next meeting, I guess. Okay, so
we have Lydia.
Thank you. I just have a quick question. I think that I understand that both Marla and Sylvia could be qualifying community-based organization representatives, but I haven't heard anything about what organizations they would represent. And I know that we're not voting on that now. I just wanted to clarify if it's the case that either one or both could potentially qualify. Thank you.
yeah, it would be Marla said, or I mean, Sylvia said she was a member of the Lincoln Heights Tenants Union. So we lost Joanna. She was a Lincoln Heights Tenants Union member. Yeah. So Vince, we can't process them until they would get a letter from that community-based org, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that would have to be on another meeting. So for now, we're going to just vote on the Area 1 rep position. All right.
All right, so I'm going to do a roll call. The motion is to vote for the Area 1 seat representative. And the two options are Sylvia or Marla. Sarah?
I'm going to say Sylvia.
Ben?
Sylvia.
Chente?
Sylvia.
Nancy?
Sylvia.
Benny?
Sylvia.
Annalie? Annalee. I'll go back to Annalee. Melanie,
Sylvia,
Didia,
Sylvia,
Jared,
Sylvia,
Richard,
Sylvia.
Steve,
Sylvia.
Selena,
Marla,
Esmeralda, and back to Annalee.
Marla,
And Fernanda, I'm voting Marla only because it sounds like Sylvia would qualify for CBO. But majority is for Sylvia, so Sylvia receives the CBO seat. I mean, I'm so sorry, the Area 1 representative seat. Marla, that means that if you would like to run for the CBO seat, you would have to provide a letter that you are involved as a member of some sort of organization in Lincoln Heights. Or you could, as you mentioned, join the plug committee as a regular community member. Thank you both for applying for the seat. Sylvia, I will be emailing you an onboarding email sometime before the end of the week with instructions on what needs to be completed in order to become a member of the general board. And congratulations, you are now the Area 1 seat representative.
Right, Sylvia, Area 1 rep, and then Marla will be on our next meeting for another seat. All right, so who was the other applicant for the vacancy?
That was it.
Oh, that's it. Oh, okay. All right, so then we have no other applications. So looking through the agenda, we have an hour left. Let's see. Give me a second. So Vince, the funding items, can we just do them real quick?
Yeah, they're not too long. There's just 3 of them. But I think Didia has her hand up.
Oh, Didia.
thank you. I just wanted to ask a clarification question because we remember in our most recent meeting, Jared was elected, one of our representatives, and was able to join the meeting immediately. So I just wanted clarification for Sylvia's benefit about whether she would be able to vote and what she could vote on, and whether or not she can participate in today's meeting for the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Didia. Yeah, so Sylvia, yeah, now you're a board member. So you can vote, but you can't vote on funding items until you take the training. So Secretary Sanchez, if you could promote Sylvia as a panelist.
She's currently a panelist.
Oh, radical.
She counts for quorum, but she does not count for any vote until she takes the training.
Oh, no votes. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Okay, so you know what, Vince, since we have presenters on the horn, I'm going to maybe put your thing at the end here because they're not super pressing.
That's
The
good.
funding items. So we're going to move on to Planning and Land Use Committee. Benny Madera,
Yeah, I can,
Vice Chair,
take-
you want to run it?
yeah, I'll go ahead and take it from here, Sarah. Thank you. So we're going to jump on to planning and land use, which is number 8. Item A. We have a discussion and possible action on the proposed development project at 3601 East Mission Road and 2010 North Lincoln Park Avenue. It's a 7-story mixed income density, 8 parcels of land adjacent to Lincoln Park. The address 3601 and 3615 North Mission Road, 2010 and 2036 North Lincoln Park Avenue. It would be the proposals for to construct 184 units. It looks like a 12-foot wall or fence rather. And the applicant is SHAY, YADIN, Lincoln Park Holdings, LLC, and the representative is Brian SILVEIRA and Associates. So this was discussed yesterday at yesterday's Planning and Land Use Committee meeting, and the committee does have a recommendation, and the recommendation is to deny this development project. I believe it was unanimous to reject this proposal. And so that is the recommendation of the Planning and Land Use Committee, and now it's here at the board meeting to be batted around here. So with that, I'll hand it over to, is it Fernanda?
1 second. Yeah, so the Planning and Land Use Committee met yesterday, and we have issued a letter. It's just protocol of our recommendation to the general board. So it's an attached document, a supplemental document here, and it would go to the Planning Commission and East LA Planning Commission and City Planning in general, and then CD14 and the applicant. So it would be attached to the file. But so the motion, I'll make the motion. Yeah. So a motion to approve the letter. I guess Vince, as a chair, can I make the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody second? Well, I can pull up the letter.
I second.
Yeah, if we could pull up the letter.
Let's pull up the letter. I mean, so the letter made is just kind of like the standard letter. This is not, well, I mean, it's kind of more embellished, but the one that, you know, it's basically telling the city, this is the position of the council, just based off of the votes. So we have the applicants on the line too. So we're going to pull up the letter, but it's not really about approving a letter. It's just basically about, that was the recommendation of the committee. So now the council's going to, because the council wasn't present at the meeting, or the general board. So now they're going to hear a presentation again, and there's going to be discussion, and there will be a vote on the official position of the board. So this is sort of the committee's position based on what the community said. So it's saying that actually the investor explicitly said in this article that came out yesterday that it was made for USC faculty and students. Yeah, it just says all the concerns of the community. If you could scroll through. Usually letters aren't this embellished, but kind of doing two things at once. So we're going to hear from the public again on this matter, and we'll take it for a vote on our official position as a board. So we have the presenter on the attendee side, Jesse Harris.
Jesse, you're being promoted as a panelist. Jesse, I believe you are muted.
Am I?
Oh, there you go.
Are you able to hear me? Oh, you are. Okay, great. I was saying, okay, so my name is Jesse from the Office of Brian SILVEIRA Associates. Any pronouns are fine. I wasn't actually sure if I would be presenting tonight since we presented last night. So I'm glad I attended, and thank you for having us and discussing our project. I can go over the basics of the project if that's what, okay, great. I can do that since I know not everyone here was at the meeting. Am I able to share my screen, or would you like me to just
Yeah, just 1 second.
Jesse, I can't speak for the other council members. It's very hard to hear, for me to hear you.
Okay, let me see if. How is that? Is that better? Yeah. Zoom turns down my volume sometimes, and I don't know. I'm like, I don't know why Zoom is trying to silence a Black woman, to be honest, but that's none of my business. It like turns down the input volume to like half. Let me see if I'm able to share my screen, and I am. So I won't take too much time. I know that y'all have a time constraint, and you know, we've presented this project. I think we've had a lot of opportunity to get feedback from the board and from community members. So I'll just go over the basics. So this is where our project is located. Here's some context. We're right across from Lincoln Park, and on a site that's currently developed with a commercial parking lot that serves the medical rehab center next door. So these are the lots on which the project is planned. These are the only lots that are involved in the current project. So it's 15 lots on this block, 8 of them are involved in the project. These 7 are not involved currently. These are the latest renderings of the project. So just to give you a sense of, you know, how it feels and what it looks like. This is a photo taken from, or not a photo, this is a rendering from the corner of Lincoln Park and Mission. And then here is a view of the development from Lincoln Park, across Mission Road. Here's another view of the project. So this is Barbie Street. This is kind of where the backyard would be. As it is, we actually have 2 front yards, and people would enter the project from Lincoln Park Avenue over here. There's 2 separate entrances because there's parking planned to replace the parking that we are building on. So as I said before, it's currently developed with a surface parking lot. And so our project would replace those parking spaces and then provide parking spaces of its own to the building residents. And there's a separate entrance for that. And then here is the same rendering, but if you notice, this rendering has a little kind of depiction of a mural. This is not the mural plan. In fact, the muralists themselves haven't been chosen. We're currently in the process of doing outreach to find a muralist who you know, can create something that's recognizable and to help create a relationship between this building, which is admittedly large and new to the community. And sort of our vision here is to create a larger building. You know, I mentioned this last night, and I won't go on too long, but I think we all know LA has a really severe housing crisis, and homelessness is one very extreme end of that. But we are all in a housing crisis, and the reason that we are in a housing crisis is because we don't have enough units. We don't have enough units in general, and we also don't have enough affordable units. The last regional housing needs assessment determined that in the next, well, it was the next 10 years, but now it's been a couple of years. So now in the next about 8.5 years, LA needs to produce about 450,000 new housing units. And I believe 185,000 of those need to be affordable to lower income families. And so this is our attempt to do something about that. It's 184 units total, as it says here. 47 of those units are reserved for very low income households. You don't see 25% of a total project reserved for very low income households in privately developed projects. You might see 100% in a public project or a project that's developed by a nonprofit, many of which I've worked for. I came into this world of urban planning through working with homeless youth and trying to figure out how to solve this housing crisis. And so I'm really proud of this project. As we discussed last night, the affordable units, they will have a 55-year covenant on them, a covenant with the city that's monitored and that is enforced through third-party monitoring and through the city. And those units have to be comparable to the market rate units. So all of the units will have access to all of the amenities, which include, you know, open space, decks, and really, really nice units. You know, oftentimes when affordable units are developed, they can't afford to make them really nice. And so one of my guiding planning theories is that mixed income development is really the best development for the folks who have the least, because they have access to the same amenities as the market rate development. So I said I wouldn't take too much of your time, and I won't. It's replacing an existing parking lot. In a city, you only have so many lots that can be developed. Most of them have existing residential uses on them, again, because it's a city and most of it is already developed. We have a unique opportunity here to develop something that does not contain housing, and so will not directly displace people from their housing in order to be built. And you know, it's designed really, obviously, to provide a lot of units. I won't shy away from that. But you know, I think it's also a very, it's a good looking building, and it really does its best to respect the context. You know, we step it back at the rear where it faces other residential units that are more like 1 or 2 stories, and that's to respect sort of the privacy concerns of neighbors. It's buffered by these 2-story townhouses at the rear, which are 3-bedroom. We offer a wide variety of unit types from studios to 3 bedrooms, and those types will be available within the affordable unit mix as well. And so, you know, it's personally a project that I'm proud of, and again, thank you to this board for allowing me to give a little overview of this building. Here's a little summary of the project goals. You know, I think I talked about these already. And here is my contact info and the contact info of my colleague, Brian SILVEIRA. Thank you again. I'll leave this up as long as I'm screen sharing, just so folks, if they have questions or other things that they would like to address, you have a way to reach out to me. And that is the.
Thank you, Jesse.
No problem.
Thank you, guys. So we're gonna, could we go to the supporting documents? Oh, yeah, so maybe, so
Jesse, if you could stop sharing your screen so we can share the supporting documents, please.
so we have supporting documents of the site plan and the presentation. We can keep that up as people, so we have something on the screen when people ask the questions. All right, so this is for 184 unit apartment building, 7 stories across from Lincoln Park with 47 very low income units and 137 market rate units, correct?
That's correct.
So that would be, and there are approximately 4 3-bedroom units, 21 1-bedroom units, 87 0-bedroom units, and 70 something, 76 maybe, 1-bedroom units.
That's what's currently planned, although I want to caution against, I think the interior design stuff, you know, I think you mentioned a couple meetings ago that we had our zoning assessment. So they won't change anything about the exterior, but some of the interior design stuff could change, which means that our unit mix might change. So I just want to, I want to put that out there, but that's, yes, that's accurate for what's currently planned.
You know, we didn't ask this yesterday. Sorry, I'm jumping into the questions, but so of the 47 reserved very low income units, what are those all 0 bedrooms, or are they all?
No, actually, so they can't all be 0 bedrooms. As I mentioned before, and I'm only bringing this up because I think there might be other questions about the nature of the affordable units. They have to be comparable to the market rate units, and that includes comparable in unit type, which housing considers, you know, the number of bedrooms. That's how they qualify unit type. So let's see, the affordable units, I believe I have a breakdown. That it will be ratios similar to the market rate ratio. So again, I don't want to send the message that this is what we're gonna, you know, the exact unit mix that will end up, because, you know, that could change. But we will have affordable units that that match the spread of the market rate units. Let me find.
And then to get one of these affordable units, right, you'd have to, for instance, there's different tiers of low income, right? So it's extremely low income is kind of the bottom one. I think the income level is what, under 20, if you make under 25,000 or something?
Yeah, although it's extremely low income, and this is kind of a nitpicky policy thing, but that's only available to TOC projects. And this is not a TOC, this is a density bonus. That one starts with extremely low, just FYI. So, or I'm sorry, with very low, not extremely low. And so that's the lowest tier of affordability available to density bonus type of project, which is the kind that this is.
And so extremely low is the lowest tier for
very low is the lowest
very low.
for density bonus. Yeah, if it were a TOC project, then we could do extremely low, but that's not on the menu, I guess.
So extremely low, for very low income. So there's like affordable, low income, very low income, extremely low income.
Yeah, and then there's also moderate, which is, I think, 120% of the area median income.
So for like an affordable level unit, if you make under 70, maybe $72,000, I think is the qualifier. For very low income, I think it's 30,000. But in our letter, it states, yeah, so the median income of Lincoln Heights is that of the extremely low income. Yeah, and then I just want to make it a little clear about these affordable units. Yeah, so then it's also a waiting list and a lottery at the county level. So it's illegal for like a neighborhood to get priority on the affordable units that are built there. So, but the developer was saying like they could, or you guys were saying like you could kind of help people sign up so they're in the queue maybe.
Yeah.
But there's no, you know, it's kind of like you're up against, I don't know how many thousands of people for those units. No, yeah. Sorry, I opened it up to public, to my question so fast. We need a motion, right, Vince?
Yeah, motion
Make a
to.
motion.
Mhm.
Well, I'll make the motion and we'll get a second. I'll make a motion to approve the letter as written. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, so then, yeah, now we're gonna open it up for comments again. So, do any board members have any comments or questions for Jessica?
We have a couple. Yeah, just raise your hand and I'll choose. So first we have Jared.
Thank you. First question is, would this be a LEED certified building?
No, it won't be LEED certified. That's not currently planned for the building.
And you say that the interior design could change, which I assume, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that would possibly change the bedroom makeup, but would it change the square footage of the units?
No, good question. That's exactly what I mean, is that the building footprint itself won't change, and like the height and things like that, those are like the zoning regulations, those won't change. But like where a wall is inside of the building could change, and that means that like they're still, I think the architects are still kind of toying around with exactly what the unit mix will be. But
so the square footage of the units could change, but you don't know if they will or.
Yeah, exactly. The square footage of the units could change. I will tell you that housing has policies that say that the affordable units have to be about the same as the average size of the market rate units of the same bedroom type. So all the one bedrooms have to be about the same size, including the affordable units. And all the two bedroom affordable units need to be about the same size as the average of the market rate 2-bedroom units and so forth. So even though those things could change, I'm anticipating that might be a question.
Thank you.
We have Vincent.
Hi, so I just want to bring up a few points. Not necessarily I need answers because I think I got them the day we were in, yesterday when we were in our meeting. I think one thing the board members have to keep into mind is really the bigger objective of these projects, right? If we look at the bedroom makeout and how it's more catering to single people, more single units to one bedroom. This plan has been implemented even in the nonprofit sector of PATH. And that's because these units are not being built for the current residents of the neighborhood. They don't fit, you know, within a Black or brown family, which brown family, we have big families. We're not single, you know? And I think that's a telltale sign of the plan, even though they can configure these room layouts, but that means that they could also configure them right back into the future with no repercussion. I've seen that happen too. And, and I make that point because these deals have already been cut in the city of LA before. We're currently coming up the 30-year covenants that were supposed to help the housing so that we wouldn't have the problems of today. But what we found out that those were failures. So what did the city redo again? It kept the same process and infrastructure of the policy and simply extended the time limit to 55 years. So we're kicking the can 2 generations down as if it wasn't bad enough. For over 100 years, they've been kicking the can down, never meeting the housing requirements. Now, well, it doesn't fit a TOC today, it'll fit a TOC of tomorrow. Mission has a huge transit-oriented project coming its way. So the USC has been planning this for the longest time to be student housing and basically nurse and doctor housing. They want them to walk across of the lake to go to work. We have to open our eyes to that. The devil's in the details with a lot of these plans. I think it's disingenuous for, you know, any type of development, politician, or anybody to sell this any different. 30 years from now, this neighborhood's not going to look anywhere near, as you can tell from the picture, what is being done, what we have today. And in a lot of ways, it's really causing an economic racial divide in financing because we can no longer afford it here. Don't be fooled that some of these amounts of low income housing are going to be put here because again, we don't have control over that. It's federally illegal for you in the housing to allot anybody a property or anything or promise them housing, let alone put them in a queue because they end up getting put back into the lottery system. That was another failure system. Because if you don't put it directly to the people that are going to be affected, like in Lincoln Heights, and give it to the families of Lincoln Heights and long-term families, which can get kind of legal mumbo jumbo in there, you have a failed housing project again and a push out rate. Eventually this area will meet its 55-year covenant, and it too will then start to remove itself and remove the people that it promised the housing to, changing the city's face, moving us further east. So I encourage all my fellow board members to vote in favor of denying it strongly and also having someone appointed to actually speak at the hearing. I think we have to do this one because this is a stance for our community. If our elected officials won't stand up for the health, safety, and welfare of the future of Lincoln Heights, all of us should do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chente.
Should I be responding or should I just respond at the end? Or
I think
we're at a
only if
time
there are
crunch tonight.
Yeah, and I think maybe if board members or public members have specific questions,
Okay.
those can be responded to versus kind of just going back and forth. This isn't really a platform for that. I do want to thank you for being here again today. You presented to us yesterday. I don't have any questions, just have some comments for the board members. I want to give a summary of what yesterday's presentation was like. Every single public comment that we had was against this project. We had neighbors who live right across the proposed site, and they were talking about some of the developer tactics that are going on in terms of door knocking and asking for their property to be sold, etc., as well as alarms going off at night of like being on private property when you're walking around the block in the proposed site. I also want to talk about, I want to remind everyone what these covenants look like once they expire. I want to remind everyone of our guests that we had at our last general board meeting. So all of those tenants that presented where their rents are being raised $500, that's because those covenants expired. And the Assembly Bill 1482 passed by Governor Newsom does not protect any sort of subsidized units, any sort of very low income units. And so we know what that looks like. We know that this affordable housing comes at a cost. It's pulling at straws here. And lastly, one of the things that I learned yesterday that I wasn't really aware about, in our supporting documents, we have the tree report in terms of all of the trees that are going to be taken out of this property. And so I went over and I just want to share a quick video with everybody. There are a lot of trees on this proposed site. It's not just a parking lot. Let me see if I can share this video. It's very dense in terms of how many trees there are on the proposed site. I want to know what's going to happen to those trees. And I also want to know if there's going to be any sort of environmental soil testing. We're seeing a lot of environmental hazards happening in Lincoln Heights and developers not really caring about that. And again, this is not really catering to the community. It's catering to huge corporate enterprises that, you know, taken over our community. And so I think that all of the public comments that we received yesterday are valid and very relevant. And I just wanted to remind the board of that. Thank you. We have Sylvia next.
I know just because I just got brought on, I can't vote on this, but I just did want to point out that just bouncing off of Chenta's point was, I'm sorry, Vincent's point was that one thing that I didn't hear is, yeah, there are a lot of single units and we don't, the community in Lincoln Heights is not reflective of people who live only in single units. But in addition, even if it was, we have to remember the amount of undocumented people in our community who would not qualify for not just the building itself, but to apply for a citywide queue to be a part of. Having been undocumented for the first 18 years of my life, that's something that's immediately going to call my attention. So I wanted to comment on that.
Thank you, Sylvia. Are there any other board member comments? If not, I will be moving to public comments.
Fernanda? My one comment would be any kind of multiple housing unit is going to draw a lot more water where it's drought conditions. How many more houses do you want to put in to use up the water that we don't have?
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah.
Any other board member comment?
I have a comment. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I just want to say, like, so this site is adjacent to the, you know, USC biotech corridor. So it's pretty much across the street. It's not part of the Adelante East Side redevelopment plan. But what we're seeing is this sort of encroachment onto, you know, our residential neighborhood. You know, USC has already kind of jumped the tracks now, the main street with that East Side plan, and now are going on the other side of the street, where Chano's is, all the way to, you know, the brewery pretty much. So we're seeing properties being torn down this will be the first high rise, I guess. The site itself, it used to be the alligator farm, the California alligator farm and the ostrich farm. It's a historic site, but it actually never was developed. That parking lot area was always, half of it is a little forest with protected trees, right? but I want to read something. So an interview with the developer came out yesterday, or the day before yesterday in The Real Deal. It's like a real estate blog website. So he's the investor. So the interview says this, it's explicit. He says, "We really believe housing is needed in Los Angeles," YADIN said. He added that the project would also increase the neighborhood's vibrancy by adding density, and that his team was in touch with the nearby USC affiliated medical center. Quote, he says, "They just don't have a lot of good housing options," he said, of the hospital staff, because the area hasn't seen much development for decades. So when, upon seeing this, it came out the day before our planning and land use meeting, it only confirms that, yes, this is the intent. And this is why, because Lincoln Heights is a families, right? And the average family size in Lincoln Heights is 4.2 people, and we're 77% renters. There are only 4 3-bedroom apartments and 21 2-bedroom apartments. The majority, the 87 and the other 70, whatever, are singles or studios or 1-bedroom. So those are clearly not for our community. Yeah, so I would assume, yeah, if the project wanted to be for the community, it would make room spaces for the community. Even the market rate units would be 3-bedroom for the neighborhood, which the market rate units are not. And that's what I have to say. But yeah, go to our supporting documents. I mean, we don't have this link in there, but if you just Google the project, Lincoln Heights.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. The article is right here.
So this is repeated in our letter. I just cite it verbatim, but that's my only comment.
Next, we have Annalie.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I remember seeing Jesse speak in another meeting about and typical history, and of like background. And it's so, and it's if you really want to got these
Annalie, you're breaking up.
Annalie, we can't hear you. You're breaking up badly.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Just Jesse's.
Hello?
They're the representative. They're not the developer.
Well, anyways, I don't know. I just don't. It's just like constantly this same pitch that everybody has about how they're going to be doing all this good, and I don't understand who even really believes this. You know what I mean? Do you believe it when you're like saying it? And that's all. It's just
all right.
Next, we have Selena.
I just wanted to thank Jesse for coming and presenting, and I'm so sorry that you have to take the heat for USC.
Thank you, Selena. And lastly, we have Jared.
I want to make one last point. It is, especially now thinking about the trees that are being cut down, the points of water usage is also valid. The fact that this is not, on top of all the other issues with which I 100% agree, the fact that this is not a LEED certified building or is making any effort for any sustainable architecture or design or to come into compliance with any of the LEED standards just speaks volumes about what sort of commitment to community this project has.
Right. Thank you, Jared. Now, any other board member comments or dialogue about this?
If not, we will be moving on to public comments. I know I saw a hand raised.
If there's anybody from the public who wants to ask a question to Jesse or talk about the proposed project, maybe we can pull an image of it back on the screen just so if anybody logs in, they know where we're at. But yeah, so please raise your hand or press *9 to speak. So this is for the item. Yeah. Public comment on the item.
We have Mike Montes.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. Just real quick, Jesse, one of our biggest problems that we've had here in Lincoln Heights is whenever new developments are brought in here, you know, the city gives a lot of ability for the organizations to provide limited parking. You know, with 180 plus units, the reality of people living in LA is everybody has at least one car, if not two. So there will be at least 184, if not more than 200 vehicles associated with everybody that's living here. How many exact parking stalls, parking spaces do you guys have planned for those 184 plus units?
Thank you, Mike.
Sorry, should I respond? It feels like I should maybe respond to some of the other questions, or should I wait until?
Maybe just write it down, just and then
gotcha.
like how yeah, he replied last time. Yeah, so okay, so if anybody from the public has a question for Jesse about the proposed development across from Lincoln Park on Mission, please raise your hand or press star 9.
We have Daisy.
Hi. I want to just piggyback on what I heard from what Chenta said. I do think that as a member of the public, I think it is important that someone shows up to that meeting that he mentioned to show up. So Jesse, I too thank you for being here, and you know, you're the one that's going to take the heat. I don't agree with this project. I wasn't at the planning committee meeting yesterday. I couldn't make it, but hearing what I'm hearing right now and being a member of this community, I rant, and I don't agree with it because it's not going to benefit the community itself, Lincoln Heights as a whole. So I want to make sure that as a community member, my voice is heard. Another thing, that treatment center that was there, it was there. It's no longer there. They moved. The houses that are behind that treatment center, for the most part, if I recall correctly, they are one level. So this 2-3-story building is going to obstruct current homeowners, which the majority are minorities, right? And the last thing that I want to say is that I read in the news that Hilda Solis signed to have the original General Hospital, County Hospital, remodeled so that it can be used for offices to provide resources and housing. So if that building there has been signed and approved by Solis, have you guys considered contacting her to merge your project and not have to use that land across the street from a nice park that technically belongs to the community, not to students that are gonna come? You know, I'm just gonna keep it simple, but you get what I'm saying. Have you guys talked to Hilda? Or if not, talk to her, because I don't agree with this project. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy. Next, we have Robert Vega.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yep. Hi, Robert.
Hi, how you guys doing? You know, I'd like to offer Jessie, and I think I've met with her before, but I'd like to offer them, or to see if your presentation is ready for the community, to have the community come and listen to your project. To have people there, you know, bringing people to this event so that they can kind of judge for themselves what's going on here at Lincoln Heights. The housing, as you guys all know, that we need, it's needed. It's not just for, I would say, it's for our kids that grew up here, who are working and making good money, that they should be able to afford to live here. You know, so I think it's best that you know, we offer. You can do the presentation at Sacred Heart. We can invite the community and let them listen in on this, and you'll get an understanding of our community. Thank you. Thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. And I just want to make a statement. I just want to make it clear. So like, there's a new lobbying ordinance that's going around with the city, but like, just so everybody knows, it's like the representative is a registered lobbyist, correct? So, and then Jesse, you stated that you did outreach with Sacred Heart. Yesterday, we had our community meeting through the Planning and Land Use Committee, and it's viewable online on the YouTube. Yeah, I guess, as Robert, you're speaking on behalf of Sacred Heart, I guess, to a certain extent. And so, yeah, so this would just, I don't know. Yeah, public forum would be great, but part of the process is this is already gone to the CPC, the City Planning Commission. So.
Next we have Yaya.
Hey everyone, can you hear me? Nice, thank you. So I just want to thank Jesse for taking the heat, because I know it sucks to be in this position, but I mean, the community needs to be heard. You're talking about historically disenfranchised communities that are now suddenly being invested in for the wrong reasons. And, we don't want to say that this is a racist development, but it is. When you're talking about communities that are historically Black and brown and have historically been completely abandoned by our political infrastructure, and suddenly there's a large and sudden interest in them, and we know that the people that are going to come in are going to be from a different income bracket, and with that they're going to be a different race, it then becomes a racial issue. It then becomes a racist type of development. It then becomes ethnic cleansing. And I think we shouldn't be afraid to talk about that. We shouldn't be afraid to address that, because so many people are going to be pushed out. And I want to reiterate what Sylvia talked about, which is none of these types of resources that are coming in, what they're calling rejuvenation, what they're calling up and coming, are going to apply to our undocumented folks. And there are so many undocumented people in our community, and we cannot simply sweep them under the rug. They're not going to qualify for any of these income brackets. They're not going to qualify for any of these things that are coming up, and they need to be part of the conversation. So I think just that in and of itself makes it extremely classist, extremely racist, and that needs to be addressed. So I do think as many times as we can bring this conversation up to the community, as many times as we can say this in a public forum, it needs to be said, because so many of us are disappearing. So many of our elders are being pushed out of their communities. And more importantly, so many of us don't know our rights. So, and on top of that, who's going to protect the trees? I mean, these are our native trees. They're worth something. We want them here. They mean something to the community. And let's not talk about how historically our communities have already been built up to have less trees, less shade. So, I mean, it's the entire infrastructure being absolutely one-sided. This is irresponsible development, and we have to call it out. We cannot be afraid to call this racist, because that's exactly what it is. It's classist, it's racist. I mean, and we want to encourage everybody to stand with the people that are being pushed out. We're not going to be here much longer, and these things need to be documented. So, I mean, this board's doing a really good job of continuously calling it out. I think this is racial justice. This is class justice. We need to keep calling it out. And even if it's uncomfortable to say that, hey, it's racist if this development goes up. And the predominant amount of the people that are going to be there are going to be white people. We have to be comfortable with having these conversations, because that's exactly what's going to happen. When the education bracket changes and the economic bracket changes, it disenfranchises and absolutely abandons the longstanding community of Lincoln Heights and of Northeast LA as a whole. And it's going to attract more development that doesn't fit the community. When you're looking at single level homes in the area, single level structures, single level buildings, and suddenly you're going to have a monstrosity of a building that doesn't fit the current neighborhood, what are you doing? That's going to be a flagship of gentrification. It's going to be a symbol of gentrification and a symbol to other developers that says, hey, this neighborhood is ripe for the taking. This neighborhood is up and coming. Come and land snatch more land. Come and grab what you can, because it's not going to look like it used to anymore. And if there's any doubt about this, look to Highland Park and look at what happened to Echo Park. These are not guesses. Look at what happened to Silver Lake. These are not guesses. These are not theories. This is not fear mongering. This is factual. Look at what's happening to all our communities around us. So if we don't stand up and we don't fight and we don't put our literal bodies on the line against projects like this, we're going to see more of it. We're going to see more Native people pushed from the land. We're going to see more disrespect of our trees. We're going to see more lack of, accountability as far as CEQA violations and filing for things to be expedited so that they don't have to do land testing, air testing, soil testing. All these things it's a disrespect of the land. So as a Native person, I just want to tell you guys to continue to stand with the people. And, we'll back you guys up. We'll back the board up no matter what. So just keep doing what you guys are doing. We're with you and we're watching. Thank you.
Thank you, Yaya. All right, so we've had board member and public discussion.
Any more public comment on this item about the proposed 184 unit 7-story apartment complex across from the DMV and Lincoln Park, Mission and Lincoln Park Ave? Please raise your hand or press *9 if you want to speak on this item right now. Okay, well then we're going to take it for a board vote.
Should I respond to any of the questions?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, now Jesse gets to talk.
I promise to be super quick. I know, first of all, thank you everyone for your comments, for your suggestions, for your questions. I will try to be brief and in doing so, try to address several things at once. One, I know the first question came up about the unit mix of the affordables. Here's what I have. Again, I want to say unit mixes change at this stage in the process still. But in general, where you have 22 affordable studios, 19 affordable ones, 5 affordable twos, and an affordable 3. I think that's a natural segue into talking about the unit types. So I know this came up a couple of times that they're studio and 1-bedrooms. A lot of times, multiple generations of families will inhabit a single unit that's not large enough for all those folks because they can't afford to make what's called a new household start. So you grow up, in Lincoln Heights, and then you turn 18, you graduate from high school, you get a job, but you can't afford a unit. And so those units can serve people, those can serve small families. Families can be 1 or 2 people. Families can be a couple with a small child. But there's, as I mentioned, also 2 bedrooms, and there are 3 bedrooms, which is another question that came up is like, why not larger units? Quite frankly, the way to make units affordable, whether they have a covenant on them or not, is to make them smaller because developers, what they sell is square footage. So you might notice the larger, if you go to rent 2,500 square foot 3-bedroom, it's going to be really expensive. And that's because it's got a lot of square feet. And so it's not really, it's impossible to make large units that are also affordable. I want to address that with the parking as well. I mentioned I got into this from working with homeless youth, and after that I worked in Safe Streets. And I noticed that LA, our problem with housing is also our problem with transportation. We plan a lot of our infrastructure for cars. That's roads, that's parking lots, that's parking facilities. Like, 74% of our general plan element is made up of parking spaces and roads. And we have, at least 70,000 homeless folks sleeping on the street every night. And so part of what this project does, and other projects like other density bonus projects that provide less parking than is required by code, is that we're changing that paradigm, and we're saying we're not going to provide all this space to cars. One of the challenges of planning, obviously, is that we're planning for the future. Most buildings will be around for 70 to 100 years. So even though it's hard to imagine right now that Angelenos will be on public transportation, that Angelenos will ride bikes and scooters and walk, that is the kind of world that we have to be building, because I think everyone in this meeting probably agree that we've gone too far with this. Everyone have their own individual car thing. I know it doesn't mean much, but I'll speak for myself. I've lived my entire life without a car. I'm a cyclist, I ride public transportation, and I've been in LA for the last decade. And I'm not saying that it's easy, but the plan is to make it easier to get around without a personally owned vehicle. And I'm proud to represent a building that's part of that plan. So in answer to the question about parking, we're providing 103 parking spaces. It's unbundled, which means people can rent a parking space separate from a unit. great news to someone like me who's always rented an apartment that comes with a parking space. And I'm like, well, wait, couldn't I just get a couple $100s off a month and not pay for this parking space that I'm not going to use? So in a way, it encourages people also when they're at that decision point to buy a car or not. It's part of that decision. They say, I can save money on the parking space. And in that way, we hope to encourage people. This building is about 2 miles from Union Station. It's a great location for transit-oriented, for more transit-oriented units. The character of the neighborhood, this is something that comes up a lot in urban planning, obviously. And, you know, I understand. I also feel attached to neighborhoods that I'm familiar with, the neighborhood I grew up in. But part of LA's problem in providing in our housing crisis has been this character of the neighborhood. You can't provide enough housing for 10 million plus people with single level homes. And that is part of the reason why everyone has been forced to own a car, because we have to drive everywhere because everything has to spread out this way rather than up. And it also makes units, it just makes everything really expensive, right? If you buy a piece of land and you can put more units, then you can charge less for each unit. And so I want to drive that home. I don't really know how much it means, but this is what I've learned in falling down the rabbit hole of how we fix this housing crisis. The trees, we did have to do soil tests. Expediting doesn't mean that we don't have to do soil tests. We still have to do the geological tests. We are near a lot of water mains along both Mission and Lincoln. So, you know, the DWP has to do their own report on their ability to provide water, and you know, you could access that. But ultimately, I would hate to think that we were going to not provide the housing units that we so desperately need because of issues like, you know, we need the units. I'll address the trees as well, because that came up a couple times. There are 5 protected Western sycamores. The plan is to transplant 3 of them on site. So 3 of those trees are planned to be, you know, picked up and put somewhere else on site so that where they're not in the building footprint. 2 of the trees, unfortunately, are not suitable based on our arborist report, not suitable for transplant, but the development itself will be required to provide trees on site and off site in the public right of way. Yeah, I would be happy to present to the church or other community groups that you think could be interested and have input on the project. You know, the LEED certified thing, I think that also goes with the cost. The more it costs to build, that includes parking and everything else. We do have solar we have a space for rooftop solar. But the more it costs to build something, the more we pay as renters, because we ultimately have to pay that. The bank doesn't pay that, you know, the developers don't pay that. We pay the cost to build the building. So I hope I've done a good job of telling you about the project. I hope that you're able to make your decision based on, you know, accurate facts of the project. And thank you again for hearing and for your input.
Thank you, Jesse. Yeah, so if anybody wants to see the data and the applications, go to our supporting documents or click on the link on the agenda for the case number for city planning, and it will take you straight to the city planning database with the attached files. It has all the tree reports and everything. All right, so do any more attendees have any more questions or want to talk about the item? No? Please raise your hand or press *9 right now.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and move it to a vote.
Yes, a board vote, please.
So the motion is to approve the letter to deny this project. A yes vote would be to approve the letter. A no vote would be to not approve the letter. Sarah Clendenning?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes, to approve the letter denying the project.
That's correct. Chente?
Yes.
Fernanda, yes. Nancy?
Yes.
Benny?
Yes.
Annalee?
Yes.
Melanie?
Sorry, yes.
Lydia,
Yes.
Gil,
He's not here.
he's here. Gil,
Oh, yeah. Hi.
all right. Richard,
Simone.
Steve,
Yes.
Selena,
Yes.
Esmeralda,
Yes.
Jared,
Yes.
Gil.
Gil, yes.
All right, that's unanimous. Motion carries.
Motion carries.
Right. Thank you again, Jesse, for taking the time to engage with us today.
Of course, thank
Yeah.
you all. Have a good night.
All right. you too. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the next item. It's so dark. All right, so the next item has to do with flat top. So we're just gonna go through these next two things that were approved by the and recommended by the block yesterday. So item 8B, discussion and possible action on letter to LADBS, LA Department of Transportation, CD1 and CD14 regarding Lincoln Heights flat top. Recent illegal grading, fencing, parking of vehicles as placeholders by developers on recently sold hillside lots. Presence of unregistered and oversized vehicles parked on substandard hills, on the ridge line, in liquefaction zones, and in public right of way. Request towing by LA Department of Transportation. Pluck recommended yes, they recommend the letter. That is the determination. So we have a sort of just small letter as a supporting doc. Do we have a motion? Anybody want to move this?
I make a motion to accept the letter as written.
So we're
Second.
gonna pull the letter up. Fernanda, can you pull that letter up? real quick?
Yeah, one second.
So first and second, so I'm just gonna, I don't have any images, but so as you know, yeah, flat top is shaped like a horseshoe, pretty much, Lincoln Heights flat top. So what we're seeing in the past couple months is that people are buying up the parcels, like small parcels, not just the flat top mansion, many parcels, but small parcels. They're putting tall fences around them and then putting RVs and trucks in there and possibly renting them as Airbnb or whatever. Some of the sites have illegal grading happening and import of outside soil as a form to, they're grading by bringing in dirt to flatten sites. That is being seen at the site where those pillars are with the graffiti on Thomas there. And both of those vehicles have expired tags. And so looking into it, we see that the parcels were just recently purchased and assessor site says like Echo Park 90026. So they're like kind of recently purchased for a lot of money, and then they're putting the vehicles as placeholders. There's one that's particularly disturbing at the foot of the baby flat top on Fenn Street. It's almost practically in the middle of the road. Yeah, so we talked about this yesterday at the planning and land use meeting, but these are substandard hills, liquefaction zones, box trucks and vehicles used to be placeholders, you know, just developers planning them there, abandoned or whatever, people living in them or not. It's just unsafe. And yeah, so we're requesting towing of said vehicles. Many of them are extending into the easements and public right of way. Okay, so that is what the letter's about. And these are not unhoused RVs, oversized vehicles. These are vehicles owned by people who just purchased land at, you know, a high rate, you know, expensive land. So any board members want to talk about what's happening at Flat Top and what they have observed recently? No? Mel?
We have
Sorry.
Steve.
Yeah, I can talk. I'm laying in bed with my daughter. Oh, ouch. Sorry. dark. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. 1 second, let me just. Yeah, so for example, there is, someone built a really like a large fence enclosure. And like Sarah was saying, it's like right in the middle of the road as you go down towards where the overlook is, where that gentleman has kind of like built that nice spot where you can sit and like look at the view. There's a cross up there. So just before that, there's a large fenced off area with a RV and a truck inside of it. I never see any, I'm up there almost every day. No one ever comes out if there's anyone in there, but it's the placement of it is terrible. I would hate, you know, to see those trucks roll down either side of the hill, which could totally happen, but yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah. The lack of regulation happening. So last year we, community members contacted LADBS about like the 10-foot pile of cement rubble that was directly on Flat Top for a couple years. And so the guy from LADBS came up to Flat Top and he had never been there before. And he said that he was shocked and amazed that like this guy, the developer, was allowed to get away with it for so long. And he said, if anybody from the community sees anything suspicious, he says he saw so much like suspicious activity, like regarding land use happening up there. He said that we should directly contact him. And his name is Mark Van Sloon. So yeah, it's just like, if nobody reports anything, it just goes unseen. I'm sorry for talking so much. All right. Steve?
We have Steve.
Yeah, so hey everyone. I've noticed in the past year there's been like a U-Haul truck that was parked up on top of one of the roads, and in the last year it gained a fence, a very close fence, not even a few feet away from it. So it's like this closely fenced in truck. Otherwise, just biking up there, I always notice when the road is closed to the public, but it is open whenever the developers need to do construction up there. And then also the neighbors seem to have personal signs out saying that there's absolutely no parking on one portion of the street there. But then again, they also, one of the neighbors has their cars absolutely parked there with bricks on to make sure it just holds a spot. So there's a few placeholders and a few convenient roadblocks that are not for public, but for personal use or development.
Thank you, Steve. All right, any other board member comments about Flat Top and the land use that's happening up there? Potential violations? All right, so we're gonna move on. Anybody from the community? We're gonna move to the community comments about Flat Top and this item about the trucks and vehicles and fences and developer placeholders being at Flat Top. Please raise your hand or press *9. Okay, seeing none, we're gonna go for a vote on the letter, which we can pull up the letter. It's just basically reiterate. It's basically like, it's just sort of a, it's the same as the item pretty much. Fernando?
Great. So we're going to move it on to a vote. The motion on the table is to approve the letter. We have Sarah.
Fernando, we have to pull up the letter, right? Yeah, let's pull up the letter just to verify that.
I thought
right. It's supporting doc 8. The it's sort of a draft, but it might have typos, but it'll be fixed.
One second.
I could read it. It says, I'm just gonna read it, Fernanda. Here we go. A letter, flat top. I don't know where it is.
It's pulled up, Sarah.
Oh, it's up there? Sorry. Okay, so, yeah, Lincoln Heights Neighborhood Council requested investigation by LADBS in the city of LA into legal grading activities on flat top. The LHNC also requests action on vehicles parked on said lots and the towing of said vehicles being used as placeholders by developers in conjunction with the fence. The sites are substandard. Some vehicles obstruct the easements in public right of way. This activity is most likely not legal. We asked for an investigation. We were told by the LADBS inspector last year to report any suspicious activity after reporting a 10-foot pile of rubble dumped on the hilltop by a developer that sat there for years until we took action. When the inspector went up, he was shocked at the amount of suspicious activity going on, such as the presence of the gate itself, greeting, site being rented for film shoots, etc., piles of dumped construction waste, imported soil, and the recent presence of vehicles left abandoned by developers. Sincerely, Lincoln Heights Neighborhood Council. So that's the letter. So we're gonna do a roll call vote, or is anybody have to say? Sorry. So yeah, vote on the letter, I guess, right now. Sorry. Secretary Sanchez?
Sarah,
Yes, approve the letter.
Ben, Ben Wadsworth. I'll come back to Chente,
Yes.
Fernanda, yes, Nancy,
Yes.
Benny,
Yes.
Annalee,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Didia,
Yes.
Jared,
Yes.
Gil,
Yes.
Richard, Steve,
Yes.
Selena,
Yes.
Esmeralda.
Yes.
It's unanimous, motion carries.
Motion carries. So the letter will be issued. Thank you very much, board and community.
We
So we're
have a
gonna
board
move.
member hand up.
A board member hand up, Jared. Is it
Yes,
Jared?
yes, hello. I have to leave at 8 o'clock for a work issue, so I just want to make sure we don't lose quorum if I go.
It looks fine, Jared.
Okay,
Yeah, so.
thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay. And we're gonna go to item 8B1. Discussion and possible action on letter to Montecito Heights Improvement Association, CD1, LA Fire Department, and LADBS requesting a complete list of every single key holder who has access to the gates of Flat Top. 1, the Thomas Street Gate. And 2, the Montecito Drive Gate. Those are the 2 access points to Lincoln Heights Flat Top. The public road was gated in 1987 under Council Bill 870720, Gloria Molina and Alator. It was actually, I don't think it was ever really made legit. It was just installed, but it was installed by outside agencies, outside neighborhoods on Lincoln Heights land, to stop people from partying. Or homeowners said that they were having trouble, or they were afraid to drive down Thomas because gangs, were partying in Lincoln Heights. So it was a gate put in Lincoln Heights by another neighborhood, pretty much. So one of the factors with this gate, one of the conditions on the motion is that a list of every single key holder, basically keys are supposed to be issued to only people with homes. And they're supposed to be, the list of names is supposed to be supplied to the fire department. So the fire department can get up in there, because that's a public road that is gated. But now we're seeing that people who just buy parcels of land or whatever, or anybody's just going up there and driving who gets this gate code or key code. The other condition was that the list of names was supposed to be issued to all city of LA municipal agencies that need it, right? So the council is requesting this list of names. Also, yeah, so we have people who are buying a lot up there, parcel of land and then using it for filming, renting it for filming, and they're allowing filming crews, commercial filming to happen up there, and they're profiting off of that site, not just their parcel, but the entire flat top. And parking up there, etc. So that is the issue. We're asking for the list of names. There's a link to the council file with the conditions of that meet. And I'm done. So we have, do we have a motion?
Yeah, well, first we have Didia's hand up and I'll make the motion.
Oh yeah, Didia.
My standard question, after 90 minutes to 2 hours, could we please have a bio break, especially for those who may be differently able? Thank you.
Yeah. Should we do it? Well, should we just complete the item and then take the break? And then just do the
fine.
planning item? Yeah, all right. So any board, okay, so do we have a
I'll
motion?
make the motion. I'll make the motion to accept the letter as written. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ben seconds.
Any board member comments on the letter? We could pull up the letter. Basically restating the description on the agenda there.
Or
Just one.
Go ahead, Fernie. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Just wanted to make a quick comment of yesterday's meeting, how it came about that for that flat top area, because homeowners have access to it, it's being advertised as a private community. And like real estate, which is very misleading. That's it for me.
Okay, yeah, let's pull up the letter and then we'll go to the board member comment on that. Okay. Where can you pull up the letter? Fernanda?
Just 1 second.
All right. Lincoln Heights Neighborhood Council requests a complete list of names of all key holders of access to the gates of Flat Top. 1, Thomas Street Gate. 2, Montecito Drive Gate, access points to Lincoln Heights Flat Top. Public road gated in 1987 under Council File 870720. It was a requirement that a list of all homeowners with keys be provided to LA Fire Department, city municipal departments. Some typos in here, but so that's the letter. So any board member comments on the locked gates at Flat Top? And the keys? No? Okay, any public comments on this item about the neighborhood council having a complete list of names of people who have access to the public right of way, in which the majority community does not have access to? Please raise your hand if press star 9.
I see no hands up.
So we're going to take it for a roll call vote.
Sarah?
So yes, I approve the letter. Or yes, I.
Right. The motion is to approve the letter. Sarah, yes. Ben?
Yes.
Chente?
Yes.
Fernanda, yes. Nancy?
Yes.
Benny?
Yes.
Annalee?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Lydia?
Yes.
Jared is not here. Gil?
Yes.
Richard?
Simone.
Steve?
Yeah.
Selena?
Yes.
And Esmeralda.
Yes.
It's unanimous, motion carries.
Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, board and community. So now we're going to go for a five-minute break. We'll be back at 8, maybe 8:17, correct?
16.
8:16. So we'll put on some tunes and we'll continue with just the last funding items, and then yeah, so not much longer. So yeah, we're taking a break right now. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
I want to know why Steve doesn't look like it's hot. He has air conditioning.
Vince, can I make an appointment if the person's not here?
An appointment to, it has to be agendized.
No, it's agendized.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go, I missed one item. Okay, 7. So we're just gonna start up again. So I can appoint somebody if they're not here, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so 7, discussion possible action on appointment of board member to chair the LHNC Programs and Services Committee. So this meeting's back. And we have all of our board, correct? Yes. So I want to appoint, can I name the name?
Yes.
Jared Gunsberg to chair the Programs and Services Committee. Now he's not here right now.
Okay, I second the appointment.
Any board members have any comments? This was a seat that was vacated by Joanna, and this actual committee, I think Gil is co-chair, or maybe not. But it hasn't really been established yet, right? So, but it's similar to outreach.
We have Benny Madera.
Yeah, for the benefit of the community and everyone else, can you briefly tell us what that entails, what the committee entails?
Okay, so the committee, so basically, in our bylaws, when the bylaws were written, it identifies what the rules or jobs are of each committee, standing committee, correct? So like the Programs and Services Committee of Lincoln Heights Neighborhood Council could be totally different than that of Loyal Heights, right? So our bylaws, Ben, do you want to talk about this? So in our bylaws, we have a very loose definition of many of our committees, and the Programs and Services one is pretty loose. It's about monitoring city services. Ben, do you want to, I could read it verbatim from the bylaws. But it's going to take a second. It's about 1 sentence long. Monitoring city services. Ben, are you?
Well, I mean, I think it's in its title. It's just monitoring city services and responding back to the agencies. And making sure that some of those services are brought into our areas or
Now,
districts.
see, now you're elaborating. So it's not, there is no elaboration. It's just basic 1 sentence here. And so interpretation is sort of up to the committee itself. Here it is. Anyway, I can't find it right now. But yeah, so it's just like, it's kind of like outreach and events, except as public services. It could be like giving out food. And then also like the street lights or whatever, but it doesn't have to be just super boring stuff, dealing with municipal agencies. It could be initiating sort of outreach type events, providing services. So programs and services. Yeah, so it's in our bylaws. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. And if anybody else wants to join that committee as a member, yeah, let me know. Any other board member questions about this item? No? Any public comments about Jared being appointed to the Programs and Services Committee? No? So we're going to take it for a roll call vote.
Sarah?
Yes, on the appointment.
Ben?
Yes.
Chente?
Yes.
Could you
Nancy?
clarify what we're voting on, please?
So basically this, I'm appointing somebody to a seat to chair a committee. of
So
the-
the yes vote agrees with the appointment, is that correct? I just want to
Yes,
clarify.
Yes, the yes vote agrees with the appointment, correct.
Thanks, just for clarification for the record.
Okay.
Nancy?
Hi, yes, sorry.
Benny,
Yes.
Annalie, Melanie,
Yes.
Lydia,
Yes.
Gil, Gil,
Gil, yes.
Richard,
Simon.
Steve,
Yes.
Selena,
Yes.
Esmeralda,
Yes.
and Fernanda. Yes. It's unanimous, motion carries.
Motion carries. So the other XCOM items of the minutes, it's like a whole project. So I have to table this to next meeting and promise to get them to everyone. But we have all of our videos online on YouTube so for the interim. So now I'm going to move on to the other item, funding items. Vince, you want to take the wheel with the funding items? We just have three.
Yes. So under funding items, agenda item 6, we have 6A, discussing and possible action on funding up to $1,500 for official city business cards for all NC board member. The vendor is City of LA GSD Publishing Services. I make a motion to approve the funding. Is there a second?
I second.
Sarah, or board discussion on anybody? Any questions on the item?
Yeah, so we approved this last year, but now it's a new funding year, so we have to do it again. I guess I'll just make a statement. So I have the quote in our supporting documents. It's actually way less than $1,500. It's about, Fernando, was it like 20 something per box for 25 members?
I can't confirm right now.
Okay, so we have it as a supporting document of how much it actually costs, which is way lower than the 1,500. But it's the City of LA General Services Printing Division. They're the same business cards that the cops get or the mayor. So the supporting document has a picture of like Mayor Garcetti's card. Being, you know, whatever. But it has the city seal. Yeah, so there's Mayor Garcetti's card with his autograph being sold on eBay. So and there's the quote from last year. So this is just like a mock-up of what it would look like. It sort of mirror exactly like just a card if you worked for LAGBS or whatever. I opted, you know, as far as having the neighborhood council logo on it, it's sort of weird because no other city departments have their logo on it. It's just, ours align with more, same as every City of LA official. But it's a sort of really important to use those. Now, it wouldn't have your personal number or anything. It would have your email address for the council and then the hotline number. So area reps could give them out to the community. Any board member comments on the cards?
Amanda?
Yeah, is anyone like monitoring that hotline? Because otherwise it doesn't really make sense to have that phone number on there. If, like no one is going to get back to them.
Yeah, because it goes to the neighborhood council Gmail. That's yeah, I'm monitoring that. And it comes through me as a text message or as a, you know, it's transcribed by Google. So, but we have to have a phone number, and of course we don't want to use our personal numbers. So we don't really have a physical office anymore, so that wouldn't be on the card. So we need a P.O. box and we need a hotline for people that don't have internet and, you know, want to get in touch with them.
And then we have Gil.
Yes, I'm. It's just a prestige thing. I think the money could be spent in the community do a lot more good in the community than spending all this money for a business card. I've been made up some business cards and they're perfectly fine for me. So That's my comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Gil. Well, I go out every day and I walk the streets and I give people out cards that I made for myself. Yeah, that's one thing, but then to have this official city ones with the seal, it's another level. So, I mean, of course, we could make bootleg city ones and get them printed here, but I mean, the city they're cheap, they're $20. So, have you guys been walking around giving away your homemade business cards? Like, we could do it all ourselves without doing this, but the 1,500 itself is an overestimate. If you do $20 times, 18 people, it's not that much.
Are there any other board member comments?
I don't see any.
All right. But, it's been a year now. and-
Public, Fernando, I don't see any in the public. Or announce the public comment.
If anyone in the public has a comment for the business cards, please raise your hand or press *9. I don't see any. Can we move it over to a vote?
Yes, this is gonna be a funding roll call vote. Everyone has to respond to it. For those that don't have funding, you're gonna be marked as ineligible, which right now we had Jared and Sylvia, excuse me. So I'm gonna go down the list. Sarah?
See.
Fernanda?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Vincent, yes. Annalee? Benny?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Annalee. Benny?
Yes.
Lydia?
Did you call Melanie? Yes.
Not Melanie yet, but you're next. I'll mark you as a
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
It was Didia.
Yes.
Esmeralda?
Yeah.
Okay, Jared's absent. Melanie said yes already. Nancy?
Yes.
Richard?
Simon.
Selena?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
So
Yeah.
our next item is gonna be 6B, discussion and possible action on funding for Lincoln Heights Neighborhood Council P.O. Box at Lincoln Heights Post Office. Price for a 5-inch by 5.5 is $300 a year. The funding is up for $300 a year. I make a motion to approve the funding. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ben seconds. Okay, any board discussion?
Yeah, I just want to, planning and land use gets inquiries from developers, like where should I send my documents? So I think people have been sending their documents to our old address at 3516 North Broadway. We have a lot of mail there. But I want to say this PO box for oversight, it's a small one, yeah, but they hold the big things behind the counter for us. And it comes with 2 keys. So we'd have to sort of figure out who the key holders are as well.
Okay. So I don't see any more board member comment. I'm gonna open it up to public comment. If you have a comment, please push *9 if you're on the landline or raise your hand. Okay, not seeing. We're gonna close public comment. We're now gonna go down to a vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Fernanda?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Vincent? Yes. Annalee?
Yes.
Benny?
Yes.
Didia?
Yes.
Thank you. Esmeralda? Thank you. Melanie?
Yes.
Thank you. Nancy?
Yes.
Richard?
Simon.
Selena?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay. We're now going to move to item 6C, discussion and possible action on funding up to $500 for general meeting minute taker. Service will be done by vendor approved by the city of LA. I make a motion to approve the funding up to $500 for a minute taker. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a second. Gil? Gil? Gilbert, you have your hand up. Did you have a board comment? Okay.
I'm sorry, on that last vote, I didn't hear you call my name. Did you call my name?
Yes, I did. Oh, you didn't. Oh, what was? I put you down. I thought you were absent. What was your?
No, I voted no on that.
Okay, that was.
Thank
for
you.
was Gilbert? Was that for the mailbox?
No, that was for the cards, business cards.
Okay, and what about the mailboxes? We have 2 votes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we? Okay, so we have a second board. We're on board comment. I don't see any more. We'll close board comment, open it up for public comment. If there's anybody in the public, you can push *9 or raise your hand. I don't see any. Okay, this is another funding vote. We're gonna go down the list. Sarah? Sarah?
Yes.
Fernanda?
Yes.
Ben?
No.
And then Vincent, yes. Annalee?
Yes.
Benny?
I'm sorry, can you remind me real quick what the vote is for this?
We're voting funding up to $500 for a general meeting minute taker.
Yes.
Didia?
Yes.
Esmeralda? Esmeralda? Okay, I'll come back to Esmeralda. Jared's absent. Melanie?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Richard?
Simon.
Selena?
Yes.
Steve? Gil?
No.
Motion carries. That's the end of our funding items. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. So now we're at the end of our agenda. I was a little bit shuffled with the items. We had a couple that we tabled that we're going to put on the next one. So now we're going to move on to item number 9. Make sure I didn't miss anything here.
What about the minutes?
So I haven't completed all the minutes.
Okay.
You want to do some of the minutes. We have the recordings on YouTube. It would really help because we have a lot of minutes that we owe. If any board members want to do minutes, I have a template. Because we have so many meetings, it gets really overwhelming. But formats.
We just approved the minute taker, so could that person help out with that? I'm sure.
Well, the secretary's usually the minute taker, but we have so many meetings, you know, the general boards and stuff, that it's becoming a little bit overwhelming. We're backlogged. No, I mean, I'm trying to do as many as I can, but it's just really hard, right? Doing all this stuff. But if anybody wants to do them, please email me.
To answer your question, Benny, yes.
We're on item 9.
So we're on item 9, general non-agenda public comment. If there's anybody from the public who wants to comment on something that's not on the agenda, please raise your hand or press *9. You have 2 minutes to speak. This is for the final.
Don't see any.
Okay, so then, Vince?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
10 seconds. All in favor, say aye.
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 I don't hear no opposed or no.
Aye.
Okay, the meeting officially ends at 8:37. Thanks everyone in the public. And thank you, board members, for holding on in. We'll see you guys all at the next.